On this day in history, we remember the remarkable individuals who shaped our world. Welcome to Who Died Today in History, where we honor their legacies. From artists to leaders, their impact lives on. If you find their stories meaningful, like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay connected. Wink Martindale, the affable voice behind some of America's most beloved game shows, passed away on April 16, 2025, at the age of 91 after a year-long battle with lymphoma. His death marked the end of an era in television history, as Martindale had been a staple of American entertainment for over 6 decades. Born Winston Conrad Martindale in Jackson, Tennessee in 1933, he began his broadcasting career at 17 as a radio DJ. His early work included a notable 1956 television interview with a young Elvis Presley, highlighting his knack for recognizing and promoting talent. Transitioning to television, Martindale became synonymous with game shows, hosting popular programs like Gambit, Tic-Tac-Dough, and High Rollers. His warm demeanor and engaging style endeared him to audiences, making him a household name. Martindale's death reflects the challenges of an era where television was evolving rapidly. As media consumption shifted towards digital platforms, figures like Martindale represented a bygone era of family-friendly, appointment-viewing television. His passing prompted reflections on the changing landscape of entertainment and the enduring appeal of personable hosts who connected with audiences across generations. The immediate aftermath of his death saw an outpouring of tributes from fans and colleagues alike. Many reminisced about the joy his shows brought into their homes and the comfort of his familiar presence on screen. His legacy was celebrated not only for his contributions to television, but also for his charitable work, including organizing telethons for causes like cerebral palsy and St. Jude Children's Hospital. Martindale's passing underscores humanity's relationship with mortality, power, and memory. While he may not have wielded political power, his influence on American culture was significant. His ability to bring people together through entertainment speaks to the power of media in shaping collective memories. We immortalize figures like Martindale through reruns, retrospectives, and the continued influence of their work on contemporary media. In commemorating Martindale, we acknowledge the role of entertainers in our lives and the lasting impact they have on our cultural fabric. His legacy endures in the memories of those who watched his shows and in the standards he set for television hosting. Helen McCrory, the celebrated British actress known for her commanding presence on both stage and screen, passed away from cancer on April 16, 2021, at the age of 52. Her death came as a profound shock to the public, as McCrory had chosen to keep her diagnosis private, continuing to work and support charitable causes without revealing the severity of her illness. Her passing was a deeply personal loss to her family, actor Damian Lewis, and their 2 children, but it also marked the end of a remarkable artistic era. McCrory's career was defined by powerful, nuanced performances, from her Shakespearean roots with the National Theatre and the Royal Shakespeare Company to iconic screen roles such as Narcissa Malfoy in the Harry Potter films and Polly Gray in Peaky Blinders. She embodied complex, often fierce women. Her death reflected a societal moment when conversations around illness, privacy, and the quiet strength of public figures were shifting. Unlike the performative vulnerability often expected of celebrities, McCrory's choice to face death with quiet dignity spoke volumes about personal agency in the age of constant exposure. The immediate consequences of her death were heartfelt tributes across the artistic community. Fellow actors, directors, and fans paid homage not only to her talent, but also to her generosity and spirit. Her role in Peaky Blinders, a show that helped redefine modern British television, was especially mourned. Creator Stephen Knight later acknowledged that her absence would change the series' narrative arc, underscoring her centrality to the story and the void left behind. McCrory's passing has since amplified her legend. Her performances are being revisited with renewed appreciation, and she is increasingly cited as one of the great talents of her generation. In commemorating her, the arts community has drawn attention to the quieter forms of heroism, those lived not in the spotlight, but in dedication to craft, family, and community. Her death reminds us that mortality does not always come with spectacle. Sometimes it arrives with grace. Through recorded performances, tributes, and retrospectives, we immortalize figures like McCrory not just for their fame, but for the depth they brought to the human experience. In doing so, we keep their spirit alive, echoing through the art they helped shape. Robert Urich, an American actor celebrated for his steady presence across television and film during the 1970s through the 1990s, passed away on April 16, 2002, at the age of 55, after a prolonged battle with synovial sarcoma, a rare form of cancer. His death, though not violent, was poignant, emblematic of the quiet strength and perseverance often demanded of public figures, navigating personal illness amid public life. Diagnosed in 1996, Urich faced his condition with grace, continuing to work in the entertainment industry while undergoing treatment. He became a vocal advocate for cancer research, using his platform to raise awareness and encourage early detection. In an era when public conversations about health and vulnerability among celebrities were still gaining traction, Urich's openness reflected evolving values around transparency, resilience, and the dignity of struggle. Urich was best known for his lead roles in Vega, Spenser, For Hire, and The Lazarus Man. His steady portrayal of principled characters mirrored the television landscape of the time, which often idealized justice, integrity, and masculine stoicism. His death marked the end of a certain type of television hero, one rooted more in subtle charisma than sensationalism. The immediate aftermath of his passing saw heartfelt tributes from colleagues and fans, highlighting his professionalism, humility, and dedication both on and off screen. Though his passing did not shift the trajectory of global history, it left a meaningful mark on the entertainment world. Urich's battle with cancer and his advocacy helped destigmatize discussions about terminal illness, contributing to broader awareness around health advocacy in Hollywood. His legacy continues in the Robert and Heather Urich Fund for Sarcoma Research, established at the University of Michigan, which funds critical research and provides hope to patients facing similar battles. Robert Urich's death invites reflection on how society remembers those who wield quiet influence. His journey from leading man to cancer advocate underscores humanity's complex relationship with mortality, not as a tragic end, but as a continuation of purpose. Through memorial funds, interviews, and the timelessness of television, we continue to commemorate Urich not just for his fame, but for the humanity he brought to his craft and cause. Fay McKenzie, an American actress whose career spanned silent films to the golden age of westerns, died of natural causes on April 16, 2019, at the remarkable age of 101. Her peaceful passing marked the end of a life deeply intertwined with the evolving story of Hollywood itself. While her death did not spark headlines or global reflection, it carried a quiet symbolism representing the fading presence of a bygone cinematic era that shaped American cultural identity. McKenzie was best known for her roles opposite Gene Autry in a series of musical westerns during the early 1940s, such as Down Mexico Way and Heart of the Rio Grande. Her characters often embodied the wholesome, determined women of the era, resilient yet refined. These portrayals reflected a time when American cinema was not just entertainment, but a tool for national morale, especially as World War II loomed. Her career, like that of many actors during Hollywood's studio system era, was shaped by the values of optimism, patriotism, and traditional gender roles. Though she largely retired from acting in the 1940s, McKenzie occasionally returned to the screen, with a notable appearance in The Party directed by Blake Edwards, to whom she was married. Her long life allowed her to witness and symbolize the industry's transformation from black and white simplicity to the complex narratives and diverse representation seen in contemporary cinema. The consequences of McKenzie's passing were not seismic in a historical sense, but her death gently reminded Hollywood and its audience of the importance of preserving legacy. As one of the last living links to the silent film era and the golden age of westerns, her story invites reflection on how quickly even monumental cultural movements fade into memory. Her memory lives on through archival footage, interviews, and the continued fascination with classic cinema. In celebrating McKenzie, we see how art immortalizes figures not for their fame alone, but for their contribution to cultural continuity. Her death, serene and dignified, underscores the broader human truth that while mortality is inevitable, memory, especially when preserved through film, grants a kind of timelessness. David Lean, the celebrated British film director behind cinematic masterpieces like Lawrence of Arabia and The Bridge on the River Kwai, died of throat cancer on April 16, 1991, at the age of 83. His death, while from natural causes, marked the end of an era in epic filmmaking, a genre he had practically defined. Lean's passing came just as he was preparing to direct a new adaptation of Nostromo by Joseph Conrad, a project cut short by his illness, symbolic of the tension between artistic ambition and human frailty. Lean's death occurred at a moment when Hollywood was shifting toward more commercially driven, effects-heavy blockbusters. His passing thus reflected a broader cultural transition from grand, introspective storytelling rooted in history and character to fast-paced narratives designed for modern audiences. In an era valuing speed and immediacy, Lean's meticulous, sweeping style was already beginning to seem like a relic. His death was not only the loss of a man, but also a farewell to a slower, more contemplative form of filmmaking that emphasized visual storytelling and narrative depth. The immediate aftermath of his passing stirred a wave of reflection in the film world. Directors like Steven Spielberg and Martin Scorsese publicly acknowledged Lean's influence on their own work, solidifying his legend and ensuring that his contributions would not be forgotten. His reputation was further bolstered by retrospectives, critical reassessments, and the preservation of his films as cultural milestones. In death, Lean became a symbol of cinematic excellence, an enduring standard against which epic storytelling would forever be measured. Lean's death underscores a universal truth, that mortality draws a final line under legacy, prompting both reverence and reevaluation. In art, especially film, memory is immortalized not through life's duration, but through lasting emotional resonance. Today, David Lean's works are studied, restored, and revered not merely for their scale, but for their humanity. Through curated film collections, documentaries, and critical essays, he lives on, not just as a director, but as an architect of the grand narrative canvas. Pat Summerall, the legendary American football player and broadcaster, died on April 16, 2013, at the age of 82 from cardiac arrest, complications stemming from a heart attack he had previously suffered. Summerall's death was a poignant reminder of his life dedicated to the sports world, both on the field and in the broadcast booth, where he became the voice of the NFL for decades. His passing not only marked the loss of a beloved sports figure, but also underscored the changing nature of American sports media. Summerall's era spanned an important transformation in how sports were consumed. When he first entered broadcasting in the 1960s, the NFL was just beginning to establish itself as the dominant force in American sports culture, and Summerall's calm, measured delivery became synonymous with football's rise in popularity. His signature voice and partnership with iconic broadcasters like John Madden helped shape the way football was experienced by millions, with their chemistry becoming a staple of NFL broadcasts for years. His death reflected the end of an era in sports commentary, one where the game itself took precedence over sensationalism and where trust in broadcasters was paramount. The immediate consequences of Summerall's passing were felt throughout the NFL and sports media industry. Tributes poured in from players, coaches, and fellow broadcasters, reflecting his influence in shaping the sports landscape. His passing amplified his legend, transforming him into an iconic figure whose voice still resonates through archival footage and old broadcasts. His death prompted the NFL to pause and reflect on how far it had come, and how Summerall's career helped guide the sport through its pivotal moments. In his death, Summerall's enduring influence highlighted humanity's deep connection to legacy and memory. As a figure of authority and steadiness, he exemplified the balance of professionalism and passion that became a defining feature of sports commentary. To immortalize such figures, we remember them not just for their talents, but for their ability to evoke feelings of comfort, continuity, and trust. Through commemorations, documentaries, and recordings of his broadcasts, Summerall's legacy continues to influence the world of sports journalism, as his voice and presence remain etched in the collective memory of generations of fans. Lucille Bremer, the American actress and dancer known for her roles in 1940s MGM musicals, passed away on April 16, 1996, at the age of 70 from natural causes. Bremer's death marked the end of an era in Hollywood, a time when the glamour of MGM's golden age was waning, and new forms of entertainment were rising. Bremer had achieved fame during the peak of MGM's musical productions, appearing in films like Ziegler's Follies and Meet Me in St. Louis, two classics that defined an era of movie-making characterized by lavish set pieces, synchronized musical numbers, and spectacular dance routines. The circumstances of her passing were largely unremarkable. She died quietly, away from the limelight that had once made her a star. However, her death highlighted the fading glory of an era that had produced stars like her. The 1940s and 1950s were marked by larger-than-life figures, and Lucille Bremer was one of the last to represent that time when Hollywood was synonymous with both creativity and escapism, offering viewers a glamorous reprieve from the realities of wartime and post-war life. As the industry transitioned to a more modern, grittier cinema in the following decades, Bremer's passing was a quiet reminder of the enduring appeal and nostalgia that people still held for that era. The immediate consequence of Bremer's death was less about shifting historical trajectories and more about acknowledging the slow departure of a style of cinema that no longer existed. Her legend, however, remained preserved in the vibrant, colorful films that showcased the musical extravagance of the 1940s. While her death did not drastically alter the landscape of Hollywood, it was a symbolic moment of closure for an era that had shaped American cinema. Bremer's death also reflects a broader human fascination with nostalgia and memory. As society moves on, certain figures remain immortalized in the films and performances they left behind, providing a sense of continuity. Her roles, particularly in Meet Me in St. Louis, continue to be celebrated as part of the canon of classic American film musicals. Through art, film preservation, and commemoration of her work, Lucille Bremer's legacy endures, reminding us of the ephemeral nature of fame and the lasting impact of cultural icons. Kay Walsh, the English actress known for her roles in both British and Hollywood films, passed away on March 16, 2005, at the age of 88. Her death, due to natural causes, marked the end of a vibrant career that spanned across multiple decades, during which she had a significant impact on both theater and film. Walsh's career began in the 1930s, and she rose to prominence in the 1940s with notable roles in films like Oliver Twist and The Fallen Idol. By the time of her death, Walsh had transitioned from acting to working as a screenwriter, demonstrating the adaptability and resilience that marked the values of her era. Her passing was largely quiet, with no immediate political or historical consequences beyond the personal loss to her family, friends, and admirers. Walsh had already faded from the public spotlight in the decades leading up to her death, having retired from acting in the 1970s to focus on writing. As the film industry underwent major transformations in the latter half of the 20th century, particularly with the rise of method acting and the experimental films of the 1960s and 1970s, Walsh's work became increasingly nostalgic, an echo of the more traditional, formal styles of acting in earlier cinema. The circumstances of her death reflected the broader challenges of an industry in transition. She was a part of the generation that had shaped classic British cinema. But as Hollywood and British film evolved into a new era, actresses like Walsh were often overshadowed by younger stars and shifting cinematic trends. Despite this, her legacy endured, particularly through her memorable roles in some of the most beloved films of the post-war era. Her death did not amplify her legend in the same way as some other stars, but it served as a poignant reminder of the fleeting nature of stardom. Her death underscores humanity's relationship with the passage of time. Much like many actors and actresses of her era, Walsh's work lives on through the preservation of the films she starred in. In literature, retrospectives, and screenings, she is remembered not for the way her death changed the world, but for how her contributions to cinema continue to shape our understanding of storytelling. Through these commemorations, Walsh's legacy is immortalized, reminding us that memory, art, and performance can outlast the lives of the performers themselves. Michael Strowka, an American actor renowned for his roles in soap operas like Dark Shadows, passed away on April 16, 1997, in Los Angeles, California, at the age of 58. He died from kidney cancer, a disease that had taken a toll on his health during his final years. Strowka's death occurred during a time when television was transitioning from the golden age of soap operas to more contemporary programming. His passing marked the end of an era for fans of classic daytime dramas, where his portrayal of characters like Aristide, Bruno Hess, and Laszlo Ferrari in Dark Shadows had left a lasting impression. The immediate consequence of Strowka's passing was the loss felt by his colleagues and fans who admired his talent and dedication to his craft. While his death did not cause a significant shift in the entertainment industry, it highlighted the challenges faced by actors in the later stages of their careers, particularly those who had been part of the soap opera genre, which was experiencing a decline in popularity at the time. Stroka's death did not amplify his legend in the way that the passing of some celebrities might, but it did serve to remind audiences of the enduring impact of character actors who, through their performances, contribute to the richness of television history. Reflecting on Stroka's death reveals humanity's complex relationship with mortality, power, and memory. While some figures achieve immortality through widespread fame, others are remembered through the collective memories of those who appreciated their work. Stroka's legacy lives on in the episodes of Dark Shadows and other shows in which he appeared, preserved for future generations to discover and enjoy. George Beverly Shea, a renowned American gospel singer, passed away on April 16, 2013, at the age of 104. His death was the result of natural causes, marking the end of a remarkable life that spanned more than a century. Shea was widely known for his association with the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association, where he performed as the lead singer for Billy Graham's crusades for over 60 years. His signature song, "How Great Thou Art," became a staple of his performances, echoing his deeply rooted Christian faith. Shea's death occurred at a time when gospel music, though still cherished by many, was no longer at the cultural forefront. As a beloved figure of the 20th century, Shea's passing symbolized the end of an era in evangelical Christian music. His voice and presence had been iconic in the mid-20th century when televised crusades reached millions and gospel music enjoyed mainstream popularity. His death underscored the passing of a generation that had significantly shaped the musical landscape of American Christianity. The immediate consequences of his passing were felt within the evangelical Christian community, where Shea had a profound influence. His legacy as a beloved hymn singer and a spiritual figure remained intact, and his passing was marked by tributes from fellow musicians, church leaders, and millions of fans who admired his contributions to Christian music. While his death did not shift the trajectory of history on a global scale, it served as a poignant reminder of the enduring power of faith and music in connecting people across time. Shea's death amplified his legend in the sense that his contributions to music and faith continue to resonate. His performances remain a key part of many people's spiritual lives, and his recordings continue to inspire new generations. His passing reflects humanity's complex relationship with mortality, how one's legacy, particularly through music and faith, can transcend death. Through art, literature, and commemoration, figures like Shea are immortalized in the hearts and memories of those who experience their work. In this way, George Beverly Shea's death reveals how art and spirituality intertwine to leave an indelible mark on history and human memory, preserving the essence of individuals even after they have passed. Francisco Goya, one of the most influential Spanish painters and printmakers, passed away on April 16, 1828, at the age of 82. His death was due to natural causes, likely complications from an illness he had suffered from for years, which had left him in ill health. Goya's final years were spent in relative seclusion in Bordeaux, France, after he had left Spain amidst political turmoil. The time of his death was marked by a turbulent era in Spain, with the country struggling through the aftermath of the Napoleonic Wars, the Spanish Inquisition, and political unrest. Goya's works had evolved dramatically during this period, reflecting the despair, violence, and instability that surrounded him. Goya's death did not immediately shift the trajectory of history, but had profound consequences in the world of art. His unique ability to capture both the grandeur and the darkness of human nature, especially in his later works like the Black Paintings, ensured his continued reverence as an artist. His legacy was cemented in the centuries that followed, with artists, critics, and historians viewing him as a bridge between the classical and romantic eras. His innovative techniques and deeply emotional portrayals of humanity in times of crisis were groundbreaking for his time. The immediate consequence of Goya's death was the loss of one of Spain's most brilliant artists, whose works had captivated the cultural elite and the broader public. However, rather than fading into obscurity, Goya's death amplified his legend. The intensity of his art, often depicting themes of war, suffering, and societal decay, left an indelible mark on the artistic community, influencing movements such as Romanticism and Realism. His works gave a voice to the disenfranchised and highlighted the stark contrasts between idealized beauty and the harsh realities of life. Through art, literature, and commemoration, Goya is immortalized as a visionary whose work captured the complexities of mortality, power, and memory. His paintings and etchings, particularly those in his later years, continue to be a testament to his ability to portray the human experience in all its rawness. They challenge our understanding of both the artist's time and the broader human condition, leaving behind a legacy that endures through art and history.